Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Beyond Payments with Android Pay. I'm Prakash Haramani, Group Product Manager in the Android Pay team, and with me is
Max Christoph. I lead the Android Pay engineering team. It's great to be here today.
So as you saw in the last session, for those of you who were here for Android Pay Everywhere, Android Pay is not just about payments. It's about enhancing the entire in-store experience. Sending your card, your payment card, to the merchant or retailer was just the first step. But there's more to it than that. When I go and make a purchase in store, typically, in addition to my payment card, I also render a loyalty card, a gift card, and/or an offer. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about three key stakeholders today: users, merchants, and issuers or banks. Now, for users, we're going to show you how users can go beyond payments, how easy it's going to be for them to sign up for loyalty, and most importantly, use it in the middle of an in-store experience when they need it most. For merchants, we're going to show you how they can engage with their customers, how they can contextually send them reminders, and most importantly, Max is going to show you how easy it is for merchants or developers to add the functionality to their apps. And then finally, we're going to talk about issuers or banks. We're going to show how easy it is for banks to bring Android Pay functionality to their apps so they can connect with their cardholders through their channels. So let's first start with the pain points. What are we trying to solve here? So the average US household has about 22-ish loyalty cards, but less than 45% are active. Only about 10 are active. That's pretty bad, right? It's bad for users because you spend all this time signing up for that membership, you fill out this long form, and then you're standing in store and you don't have it when you need it. You want to save money, you want to get points, and it's not there with you. It's also bad for merchants. They're spending millions and putting in a lot of effort trying to engage with their customers. Continuing with pain points, less than 1% of all coupons or offers that are issued today are redeemed. That's pretty staggering. It's pretty bad too. And why? So it's bad for users because they're unable to save money, again, when they're in line, in store for a purchase, because they've forgotten to cut the coupon, clip it, bring it with them in the store when they need it. And it's bad for merchants. Millions of dollars are spent every year by manufacturers and retailers to bring these offers in front of users. So first, we're going to talk about users and how we address these pain points. So fundamentally, there's two things that users are looking for: saving time and saving money. So there's many things Android Pay does to save time. First, during payment, you just have to unlock your phone, tap, and you're done. You do not have to launch any app. You don't have to have the app running in the foreground. You just set it up once and you tap. And the most important thing is it doesn't just send your payment credential. So as Pali showed in the previous demo, when he tapped on the Walgreens terminal, it sent his Balance Rewards loyalty card and his payment card. And that does save time because I don't have to fumble in my wallet, find that loyalty card, find that offer, and then present it to the cashier. Saving money is the other thing users desire. So the best way to demonstrate this is actually walk through a few demos. So for those of you who are in the previous session, Pali saved money with his Walgreens Balance Rewards card. He bought a pack of almonds. He saved $2. I would also like to save money. But before I can do that, I need to add my Balance Rewards card to Android Pay. So to talk through this demo, I'm going to invite Kate Parahowski, who's Senior Product Manager from Walgreens, up on stage. Welcome, Kate.
Thanks, Prakash. It's really great to be here. We're really excited to have the opportunity to team up with Android Pay to introduce this new loyalty experience to our Android users. We cannot wait to share this Save to Android Pay email to our loyalty users who will be able to take advantage of our simple message: tap, tap, done.
Excellent. So let's see this in action. Can we cast this, please? Great. So here's my email. I'm a Balance Rewards member, and I got this from Walgreens. I'm just going to hit Save to Android Pay, and it's going to show me a preview of my Balance Rewards card. I'm going to confirm it, and I'm done. It's that simple. So now when I go into my Android Pay, I can see not just my Amex card, but also my Walgreens Balance Rewards. It's that simple. Now when I go and make a purchase at Walgreens, I don't even have to remember anything. I just tap once, it sends the payment, tap again, it sends a loyalty card, and I'm done. Tap, tap, done.
Exactly. We're really excited that Android Pay can make it so easy for our users to sign up for our Balance Rewards program. Now even more customers can save and earn points as they shop at Walgreens.
Right.
This Android Pay and Walgreens will be the first payment solution and retailer to launch instant loyalty enrollment.
Thank you again, Kate. We're delighted to have you here and delighted with our partnership with Walgreens.
Thanks.
So let's switch use cases. So that was a retailer use case, an in-store experience. I'm going to talk about another use case I'm very excited about, which is in-store dining. What we're going to do is show how Android Pay can go beyond payments for an immersive dining experience. And we're going to do that through Ziosk. So you see these Android tablets here. They are by Ziosk, which has these Android touchscreen tablets. And you can find these actually on Chili's restaurants today. So to talk through this demo, I'm going to invite Viren Balar, who's the CTO and co-founder of Ziosk. And I also want to acknowledge Wade Allen. Wade, can you wave your hand? He's the Vice President of Digital Innovation at Chili's, a great leader in innovation, and we're thrilled to partner with you.
Thank you, Prakash. Hi, everyone. So at Ziosk, our mission is to revolutionize dining experience. And by partnering with Android Pay, we're able to bring our brick-and-mortar restaurant partners into the digital age. And Chili's is a perfect launch partner for us because they really understand the value of digital in revolutionizing dining experience for the guest on the table. Today, we're going to demo some use cases that are core functionality on Ziosk and how this is all simplified with Android Pay, even better than what it is today, right? So prior to Ziosk, if you went to Chili's, you would have to fill out this eClub, first name, last name, email address, zip code, pretty lengthy, pretty inefficient as well. And then you have to give it to the waitstaff, would put it in their pocket, and maybe it'll make it to the manager, and maybe he will enter it into their database system. It's not real time, right? It's very inefficient. So when we launched Ziosk, services at Ziosk, we started enrolling for the loyalty programs at Chili's, and we see enrollment go up by 10 times. It's a pretty staggering number. So when we do the demo, you'll see how easy is it with Android Pay. It's going to be even simpler than what we have done today, which is live in the restaurants. So Prakash, you want to say a demo of how to join loyalty program?
That sounds great, Viren. So if we could just focus on the terminal on the right. So I'm sitting at Chili's. So the setting is I'm sitting at Chili's at the table, ready to order my food. And on this Ziosk terminal, I see an option to join the My Chili's Rewards program. So I'm lazy. I'm not going to fill out this form.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to hit join now. And all I have to do, as you can see, is I'm just going to tap. And as a security feature, I will authenticate. OK, so we're going to tap. And as you can see, it sent my information from Android Pay. And it's asking for my consent to send my first name, last name, email address. So I don't have to do any kind of typing. And I just continue. So I've given consent for this information to be sent to Chili's. So now you're seeing the Chili's site. And all I have to do is just enter a PIN. And I'm registered. So now I have a My Chili's Rewards loyalty card. And I'm just going to save to Android Pay. And there you go.
It's always there. You don't have to worry about forgetting it anymore. So you want to log in now?
Sure. So now I've signed up for loyalty. And now I'm going to log in because I want Chili's to know I'm sitting at the restaurant and I want them to know who I am. So I'm just going to hit login, and then I'm just going to tap.
Boom. You got 60 points.
I have 60 points, and I'm getting a little bit hungry. I did skip lunch today.
Yep. So let's order some. What can we buy for your 60 points? Maybe a couple of bowls of chips and salsa. Won't be enough for everybody, but I think you and I can definitely hog them up. All right, so we're going to order that. We're going to add one plate. We're going to share that. We're going to send the order, and I have this feel something amazing is going to happen. Click yes. Order is going in the kitchen. I just confirm it. And boom, it shows up.
Oh, my God.
Max, you're amazing.
Instant enrollment, instant chips. Life doesn't get any better.
Yep.
By the way, I should have mentioned this. If you see anything that excites you during this presentation, feel free to applaud at any time.
Exactly. So, Prakash, now we have to show the payment piece of it.
Oh, so you're looking at me. You want me to pay now?
Yeah, I know. That's why I reminded you. So one of the most important things that Ziosk does in a restaurant is pay on demand, right? You don't have to wait for your wait staff to bring in the check on the table. So we're going to show how that becomes a lot easier with Android Pay. So Prakash, you want to follow through?
Sure. So I'm going to select Pay, and all I have to do is tap. And as you can see, my Bank of America MasterCard payment was sent. And I'm going to select.
Hold on.
I'm going to select a higher tip because we got these.
25% for Max.
Okay, so let's go. Yep, let's go generous, and we'll tip this amount. I'm just going to sign. And guess what? For receipt, I'm just going to select the email option, submit, and I'm
You're
done.
done.
A digital dining experience.
Thank you, Prakash.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that covered the user section, and now I'm going to turn it over to Max, who's going to talk about merchants and developers.
Great, thank you very much. So last year we showed you Save to Android Pay. We're excited to be announcing some major enhancements based on your feedback. So first, we heard you. We've added Save to Android support directly from emails and SMS messages. We're allowing with these mechanisms to have brands have a richer, more immersive experience, helping you increase engagement with your customers. Let's go back to that Chili's demo. You saw that Android Pay prompted Prakash to sign up for that loyalty program and offered to pre-fill his data to make it super easy. How did they build that? Well, it breaks down to 3 easy steps. Step 1, Chili's set up a loyalty program in our merchant console. That's where they defined what data they need to collect to enroll a new customer, name, phone, email address, that kind of stuff. And they set up branding for their program and their card art. Next, they made a few simple changes to their existing loyalty sign-up site. Finally, they wrote a few lines of code to generate a Save to Android Pay deep link. And at the end of their sign-up flow, they just redirect to that link. Android Pay takes care of the rest. We'll show you what this looks like in practice. So the key thing here is that ultimately, we're just going to create a link. And the link will encode everything in it that we need to trigger the Save to Android Pay experience. So now here's the code. So this is the start. You saw that Android Pay prompted Prakash to sign up. And where does that data, that pre-fill data, come from? Well, their sign-up web page is going to receive the pre-fill parameters in the URL. This is just standard HTTPS GET type of stuff. That's going to be encoded in there, HTTPS, of course. Chili's is going to create the loyalty account in their system, however they would normally do that. Now we come to the fun part. Chili's is going to create a loyalty object. Then they're going to turn that object into a JSON web token. This gives us a signed, serialized representation of that loyalty object. And finally, Chili's is going to generate a deep link from that token that they can use for multiple channels. But let's go deeper. So this is what the loyalty object creation code looks like. All we really need from you is about 8 pieces of data, and we show you how to plug them in here. Points and balance, your class ID. This comes up when you create this loyalty class in our system. It's an active loyalty state, an account ID, a name. Again, just fairly boilerplate stuff. You just drop the code and the data in here, and then you build, and you have your loyalty object. So now we're going to turn that object into the JSON web token. So this is an expansion of that second step I showed you. Again, we have some simpler boilerplate here. Not going to walk you through all of this right now, but you just drop this in your code, and at the end of this, you have a serialized signed web token. Finally, the last part of our code is to turn that into a Save to Android Pay deep link. And this is what the format of that looks like. We're going to, that JWT, the JOT, is that web token. So we're going to create the link, add the token into it, and that's the Save to Android Pay deep link. So to sum up, the first step was create a loyalty program in the system. Second, take the user to my loyalty signup page, whether triggered from a link, a transaction confirmation, a ZOS terminal, NFC tag. Possibilities are endless here. And the last step of my loyalty signup web page will simply redirect to the link when I'm done. When I redirect to that link, the link will activate the Save to Android Pay user experience. And in a few instances, the customer is going to have her loyalty card on her phone. Look how easy that was. And then you can have chips. So that's great for getting new customers signed up. But what about the ones who have downloaded my mobile app already? So So the good news is I can use the same basic approach to save a loyalty card into Android Pay directly from within my app. We show you a rich preview here to keep the users in your app. Here we're showing Plenty, a loyalty partner who has already implemented Android Pay with us. And here's what the Android code looks like to save this loyalty card. It's really the same thing. I'm going to end up creating a deep link at the end of this. I'm going to append my JSON Web Token to the end of it, and I'm just going to intent over there. Let's take a closer look at that link, though. If Android Pay is already installed on the phone, it will immediately invoke the Save to Android Pay experience. But what if Android Pay is not installed on the phone? The user will simply be redirected to the Play Store to download, and as soon as the app opens, the Save to Android Pay experience will complete. So a lot of marketing, of course, is driven by SMS and emails, and we heard that loud and clear. So we also made sure that the Save to Android Pay experience works great through these channels. Here's a look at how that experience would work with SMS. You can engage your customers to save your loyalty cards, offers, gift cards directly via text message. Just create a shortened version of the same Save to Android Pay deep link, and then you embed the shortened link into your SMS message. And then we've built a first-class save experience from email, as you saw. But it's the same code behind the scenes. You just create that link, you stick it in your email. Done. Finally, I want to take a look at gift cards. Like loyalty cards and offers, we can make these geo-targeted so that they appear automatically when they're contextually relevant and when the user's in your store. This way, they'll be reminded they have something to spend at your store. There are some differences here because it's a gift card, but it is really the same basic structure. We're going to create a gift card. Notice here that when we're creating the gift card object, I've set the type to QR code as my redemption. That's if I have one of those old school QR code readers. But what if I have a cool NFC reader in my phone or at my point of sale? And what if I've integrated with the Android Pay Smart Tap technology? Well, you could simply change that here, your redemption type, to Smart Tap. Then you get the benefits of automatic redemption over NFC, complete with authentication and encryption to protect the data in transit. And we're excited that Walgreens, for example, has already launched NFC Smart Tap for loyalty cards in 5 stores in the Bay Area. And I think, as you heard, they'll be rolling out to 8,000 stores in the next few months, which is really cool. So again, we set the rest of the parameters. Those just 8 pieces of data to plug in here. We're going to generate that JSON Web Token, create a deep link at the end of this. Should all be looking pretty familiar to you now. And because a lat long was entered at the time of setting up the gift card class in the first place, back in that step 1, the merchant console setup, no further work is required to make these gift cards automatically surface when the customer is in your store. This helps you drive engagement and keeps your brand top of mind. So this is just a representative sample of all the great merchants that are already working with us in many different verticals for loyalty cards, gift cards, and offers. So I'm going to hand this back to Prakash to talk about banks.
Great. Thank you, Max. So issuers or banks are another key stakeholder for us, and I'm also thrilled that many of our partners are in the audience, like Bank of America, like Discover, like American Express. So just want to talk about how we are solving pain points for banks. So what do banks want? Fundamentally, they want to be top of wallet. And what we mean by that is they want their card to be used for every transaction, whether it's an in-store transaction, an in-app transaction, transit, or an online transaction on the web. They also want to drive innovative solutions for their users, and they want to go beyond mobile banking in their apps. They want to be able to enable their cardholders to use mobile payments from their apps, controlling the branding experience, but without writing millions of lines of code, and that's what we are trying to solve here. So how are we solving this? Well, we make it very easy for banks to add mobile payments to their app. And I'll show you the user experience in the next screen. But essentially, once you add a card to Android Pay, if you're a bank, as a bank developer, it's enabled for payment in-store, in-app, transit, online. And if you want to know more about online, we have 2 sessions on Friday. One is bringing seamless checkouts to mobile web, and the second is turbocharging app monetization with Android Pay. So I'd encourage you to attend those sessions. So what does the user experience look like? So I have my Discover card. I've launched my Discover mobile banking app. And I have an option to add my Discover card to Android Pay. And all I have to do is verify a few details, and I'm done. That card is added to Android Pay. So next time I go and make a purchase, I can use that for in-store, in-app, web, transit, everything. And I also have the option to set it as a default. So let's go a little bit deeper. How did all this happen? It happened because of this box that you see, Android Pay API for issuers. Now, it takes care of a lot of the headache and the pain point I talked about, because we handle everything from tokenization with the payment networks, to generating limited use keys, to storing them securely on the phone, to performing cardholder verification, to creating these in-app cryptograms, to handling the NFC payment protocols, and also making sure it's compatible with the thousands of Android devices that we have out there. And the most important thing is we do all of this, but the banks still control most of the branding and user experience, as you saw on the previous slide. And that's what we're pretty excited about. The other thing I want to echo, and this was brought up in the previous presentation, was we're really thrilled that a number of top banks around the world have committed to this vision. They're very excited about the Android Pay API for issuers, and they will be integrating into Android Pay from their mobile banking app over the next few months. So I'm going to talk about one more thing, and I'm going to turn it over to Max, and that's about another API we have for issuers called card messaging. So in this example, I have my American Express card, and I get a really nice reminder saying I have offers expiring soon, and I should take advantage of that. So Max, let me turn this over to you.
Sure. Great. So I'm going to go back to the code for a second and talk about all that stuff that Prakash mentioned about how do I get my card into Android Pay. This is the code. Start tokenization, tapandpay.tokenize. That's pretty much it. Android Pay is going to handle everything else. It's going to invoke that UI and start a series of activities that's going to walk the user through what they need to do, confirming the card details, accepting the issuer terms of service, getting that token, cryptogram, all that stuff. And at the end of this flow, when we return from this method, we're going to be done. That card will be set up for payments. So I didn't have to worry about any of that as a developer, which is awesome. And I can focus my efforts, if I were a bank developer, on building a great mobile banking app rather than worrying about all the plumbing. So, of course, as Prakash mentioned, I'd also love it if people are setting my card as their default for payments. So I'll add a method here to make that happen. tapandpay.requestSelectToken. That's going to pop up a quick dialog to confirm that we have user consent to set this card as the default. And now my card will be used whenever the user taps. So there are also a few other methods I'm not showing here, like how to query the status of your card, deleting cards, and things like that. But they're all similarly easy, and it gives you an idea of how easy it is to integrate Android Pay into your mobile banking app. Back to that second thing that Prakash showed you, the custom messaging. So this is a server-side API that we have. And the key here is that with this server-side API, banks can dynamically update messaging in Android Pay that will appear in the card details view. What you'll see here is title, double points at Whole Foods, and body, earn double points at Whole Foods, or enjoy a one-time bonus of 40,000 miles. So that messaging can appear directly in the Android Pay app next to that card on the card details view through the server-side API. So it's a great way to reach out to the customers and create a more immersive, engaging experience. So what's next? First, we want you to try out the Save to Android Pay experience yourselves. How do you do that? Go to g.co/paygift on your phones. If you do that, and you come over to our office hours, which are conveniently enough right over there at table 1 and 2, right after the session at 4 o'clock, you'll get a free Android collectible. So you can try out the Saved Android Pay experience yourself, and then tap and redeem it and see the whole thing in action. Second, come talk to us. So talk to us at the office hours. We also have office hours on Thursday and Friday, 2 o'clock on Thursday, and 2 o'clock also on Friday. And we'll be happy to answer any questions about any of the APIs that you saw here, and tell you all about it. So finally, we need you. We need you because Android Pay is only as amazing as all of the uses that you create for it. So with that, I think we'll wrap up. We do have a few minutes we'll take, I think, about 6 questions, and we'll be able to answer them right at the mic up here. So thank you very much.
No questions. Can you please come up to the mic?
Yes.
When is Android Pay hitting the gear?
It's a great question. So we want to make a great experience on watches, just like we have on phones. So all we can say is stay tuned. We don't have timelines that we'll be able to publicly release, but you're going to see the same great experience on the watches like you're seeing on the phones.
I have a question about data passing, and so there's a bunch of examples where there was data either moving from Android Pay to the device to apply it, and vice versa, from an app to Android Pay. Is there additional permissions that need to be granted, or what data is allowed to go back and forth between those two?
Sure. I think as you saw first, like users consent, so users make a choice, and as you saw when I was signing up for loyalty, it pre-populated the information, but I had to explicitly consent before it was sent over to Chili's. So essentially, it's like as you saw in that example, it was the name, email, and other information that I consented to. That's for the loyalty use case.
And is that then required, like, if you don't have a PIN set up otherwise, does it still prompt you for that?
Sorry, the question was, is it required?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you know, a lot of users just don't secure their
Sure.
phones.
Right.
So if I walked up and just swiped my phone and it asked for PII, would it be granted without my consent if I didn't already have a PIN set up?
Okay, yeah, there are two different issues here. One is before we transmit any PII to a merchant to a loyalty sign-up page, for example, we absolutely show that box no matter what, and you absolutely have to click OK, yes, I agree. And if the user doesn't click I agree, they can still be taken to the loyalty sign-up page. It's just the pre-fill, the form will be blank, and they'll have the joy of entering all that data themselves on a lovely mobile keyboard. The second part of the question, though, is Android Pay and screen lock. So Android Pay does require, as part of its setup, a screen lock, and that's fingerprint, PIN, pattern, password. Those are the kind of recognized secure screen locks that are required to use Android Pay.
In few countries is supported Android Pay.
Yeah, so I think what we publicly, just so I understand your question, you're asking for countries where we support Android Pay or where we are going? Okay, South America. So you know, I think I want to echo what was said earlier. Our aspiration is for Android Pay to be everywhere Android is, but that journey is going to take a few steps. So what we publicly announced is the UK, of course, and Australia and Singapore, besides the US. So we are looking constantly at other countries, and you're going to see more announcements going forward. That's all I can say. No more questions,
Okay.
huh?
We have time for 2 more questions. Otherwise, we'll be happy to talk to you in a more intimate setting out at the office hours. By the way, at the office hours, we'll have several members of our team there as well who can really kind of deep dive into any of these areas. Yeah. Yes?
Do you plan to have Android Pay inside of Android Auto for payments from inside the car?
Payments in the car, Prakash, what do you think?
So again, we are looking at all use cases to make it a great user experience. We can't get into specifics about dates and times. Yeah.
Okay. Looks like there's one more question. Please come up to the mic.
So the demo you showed is like a specific tab-based POS terminals, right? So what happens to MST-based, like merchants with MST-based terminals?
Right.
Yeah, and the question is about loyalty cards or
Regular payments.
regular payments? Right. So at the moment, we do require, for in-store experience, we require contactless technology support. For loyalty gift card offers, we have a variety of different redemption methods, including barcodes, QR codes, as well as, of course, NFC. I think we're big believers in NFC, and we're really seeing great traction in the ecosystem. There's a lot of re-terminalization happening right now at merchants, and we know this is a journey, but it looks like the journey is in progress.
Right. I think we're going to wrap it up. So thank you again for coming, and don't forget to come to office hours like we mentioned earlier, and enjoy the rest of I/O.
Thank you.